Hello, welcome back. As you can see, I'm looking a little extra cute today, and that is because I was wanting to introduce another aspect of my personal style. And that is that I very occasionally dabble into the Japanese subculture of Lolita Fashion. I don't wear it super regularly, usually only to events. I think it is so cute. I absolutely love feeling frilly and feminine. And I also love historical fashions, which plays right into the type of Lolita that I like the best, which is classic Lolita. Now, I do think that I tend towards a little bit of a sweet style because there was actually three different substyles within Lolita Fashion, and that is Gothic, Sweet, and Classic. So I'm kind of a swastic person myself. And yeah, so I really love these dresses. I think they're beautiful. This one I'm currently wearing is from Metamorphose, I think. Pretty sure MM. And yes, it's very cute. Let me step back and show you. So I do have a petticoat on to assist on the fluff, and I actually made the petticoat myself, which brings me to the point of today's video. So I love these dresses. I think they're so beautiful, and I really admire the brands that create them. However, these dresses run upwards of $300. And I'm not saying that they're not worth it because they're often made by small teams in small quantities, but I know how to sew and I can actually make them myself. And I actually have done so in the past. So this is a dress that I made for myself around Christmas time. It has the cutest little teddy bears in the plaid, and I think it's beautiful. I was very hard on it. It's not perfect. This was not the most complicated thing I had ever made at this point when I made it, but it's pretty close. It has an invisible zipper, shirring in the back for an adjustable fit, which is pretty standard on Lolita dresses because they actually only come in usually one size if they're from a brand like Baby the Star Shine Bright or Interpretty or others. So there is that whole aspect of it. Luckily for me, I actually fit into brand dresses, but then I still would like to make some of my own. I put a cute ruffle on the bottom and this beautiful vintage lace that I found. Love these small details. Just all those little things that add up to making a really cute dress. And this one's not quite finished. I still want to add a bow to the front like the one I have on right now, and maybe some waist ties that go in the back like so. But I'm definitely very proud of this one. And so today I will be making another. So the specific style of this dress is actually called a JSK, and that stands for jumper skirt. That means that it doesn't have sleeves. It has these little straps, and it is meant to always be worn with a blouse underneath like the one that I'm wearing right now. So I have actually a mood board created for my newest project that I have planned, and I'll go ahead and jump over to that so I can share the details with you.
Alright, so this is my little workspace, and I've been planning my projects with this here. So if I just go into my JSK board, I have all of my organization, and it's been really helpful for me because I'm a little bit of a chaotic organizer. So I feel like more structured platforms aren't great, but I really love these like brainstorm layouts. So first, I did a bunch of research on my inspirations. So here I have a couple different brands that I really admire and are actually kind of hard to get a hold of. The first being Mary Magdalene. So these are a few of the dresses that I really liked from the Mary Magdalene brand that I feel like match the aesthetic of what I'm kind of going for with the flowers and the stripes. One major difference that I noticed from the fabric that I have in the fabric of most of these dresses is that the flowers of my print are not in line with the stripes. So because of that, I feel like it makes it maybe a little bit harder to do the pleating that I had planned on doing before. But I mean, we'll see how it goes. I kind of did a little try on and played around with what I would look like if I pleated it, and I think I'm pretty happy with the way that this looks. I feel like this skirt in particular by Innocent World really captured the same like floral aesthetic of the pattern that I have, so that made me really happy. And then a few other Innocent World dresses that I just think are super cute and I'm pulling some inspiration from. And then the last brand that I was looking at was Victoria Maiden. And there's just a couple of these. And this one I put on here because I really like this Victorian ruffle at the bottom. And I was thinking about adding one to my dress. But unfortunately, I think that with the way that the contrast is, it doesn't look super good. But so these are the materials that I was planning on using. I have my flower striped cotton and this nice burgundy that I think matches the darker colors of the flowers and gives it some contrast. And then I have a few different ribbons that I think work. One's a little bright and one's a little dark. So I'll see how I feel about that in the end. And I might end up using the burgundy cotton for all the accenting because I think I want to do a little bit of piping and I might just make little ruffles out of it instead of adding some velvet ribbon. But we'll play around once I get the basic structure done and I'll be able to see what I really like. And then all of those things brings me down to my concept drawings. So here I've done a little bit of drawing, a little bit of Photoshop to come up with a couple of ideas of what I think I want the silhouette to look like. And the one on the left was the first one that I made, and you can see I added that little Victorian ruffle. I made it a little bit smaller, but I think there's something about the way that the dark red breaks up the line. I just really, I don't know, it doesn't look quite right to me. And I think with having like the light colored ruffle at the bottom just looks a little odd. So I might end up going for something more like what I have on the right, which is having a underskirt ruffle in the dark red and then maybe doing like a partial ruffle around the edge of the skirt, which I've seen on many different JSKs. It's kind of like a classic look for an old school Lolita dress, which is another kind of little sub style. But I noticed that those are usually used on dresses that don't have a print. And this one definitely does have a very busy print. So we'll see how I end up feeling about that. I think that this kind of thing just kind of comes with playing around with it and seeing it in person. The other thing that I'm not quite sure how to handle is that because the flowers are off center with the stripes, I won't be able to have a focal point on the bodice that is centered. So I put the little jumping jacks flowers right there because I really like those ones for one, and two, they are really the most balanced, but they're still a little off center. So I haven't quite decided how to tackle that part of it yet. I might end up trying to go with either centering a flower or centering the stripes or maybe trying to find a middle ground. So we'll see about that. But I think it looks really cute. I like the light blue with the dark red. I think that the colors look really good together and I'm really excited to get started on this project. So now I guess I will get to talking about my pattern and how I acquired it. Okay, so this is the pattern that I drafted for my JSK bodice. And I was actually able to draft this by looking at dresses that I already had and referencing them and tracing out certain parts of them. It's not a direct copy of any of the brand dresses that I own. I really did take elements from every single one I have and reference them all to make my own version. So I feel pretty proud of that. Okay, so there's basically 6 pieces of fabric that you need to make this top. This one's cut on the fold here and you end up with like a little T shape, and then that attaches to the side fronts, and the side fronts are sewn together with the side back, and I do put a zipper right here on one side, and then the side backs are attached in the middle with a rectangle of fabric right here. Makes it stretchy. For this particular JSK, because I'm planning on pleating the skirt, I don't know if it'll gather as properly
with the shirring panel as it's supposed to, because usually, you know, the back is just a little bit extra ruffled. So I'm gonna have to play around with that a little, or it just won't be as stretchy at the actual waistline, which is kind of where I feel like it's most important. It might be nice to have a little bit of extra ease for the bust with the shirring, but if the shirring is just attached to a waistband that is not stretchy, then, you know, it's kind of defeating the purpose. So I do have to think about that a little bit, but these are my basic pieces. The skirt is literally just 2 giant rectangles that I'm gonna pleat together and attach. So I'm gonna get started on that. I think I'll start with the skirt first, and then I'll work on these little fiddly bits afterwards, because I'm not entirely sure how I wanna lay these out yet. So I have to play with it. It's a little bit gloomy today, so forgive the lighting, but I got all my pattern pieces cut out. I did it off camera because I did a lot of finicking with the pattern and trying to see what I like. And I decided to solve my off-center bodice issue by putting this one actually on the horizontal stripe. So now, if I've got this all laid out correctly, we should line up nicely and make a really cute little square pattern. So yeah, I didn't finick with these ones as much because I don't care about the back so much for matching, and I think it's like kind of whatever. But yeah, I think that's really gonna be super cute. I got the piping in, but I had a little mishap on this side, and I'm not willing to restitch it because I think it actually looks pretty good. I think that there is accidentally a little bit too much eased in on this side. But basically what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna cut off this extra inch right here. So since I still need the sides to be 7 inches right here, I'm going to just kind of ease that down like that. So it won't be perfect, but if I remember correctly, I think this actually happened the first time I made this as well, which is really interesting. It might be because when I stitched this one, I stitched from bottom to top, and then when I stitched this one, I stitched from top to bottom. So it might have just kind of like messed with the way the fabric was eased in, but I really like the way the piping looks, so I'm just going to fib it a little bit and go with it. It should end up fine. I maybe end up making these a little too wide with the ruffle, but I think you'll be okay. Hopefully. Uh-oh. That probably won't work out. I might have to fix that. Oh no. Oh no. So I actually did end up redoing the shoulder straps. I cut them apart and took out that extra ruffle on the inside of the neckline because it was way too thick. I didn't like how it looked, and I actually reattached them closer to the edge of the bodice, and I think it looks much better now, so I'm really happy with that. I have the fabric pleated, and I'm going to make the shirring panel to finish off the bodice now.
This is a pretty simple process. I just hand wound the bobbin with the elastic thread and ran it through my sewing machine with high tension and a long stitch length. So it just gathers it all up for me. And the finishing touch is steaming it so that the elastic contracts and makes a nice stretchy panel. This part feels super satisfying to me. I really like watching it all shrink down. Then I lined everything up so I could figure out exactly how much of the shirring panel I should use so that the waistband of the bodice lines up with the waistband of the skirt. And I stitched it in. Now I'm just gonna cut off that extra length that I had in the front. I maybe regret this now because there is a bit more wrinkling in the bodice than there would have been, but I ended up covering it with some trim, which you'll see in a little bit, and I think it still looks really good. And after that, I just attached the bodice to the skirt and I stitched it straight across. It was super simple. After that, I could not help but give it a little try on. I think it is looking super adorable. I just have the zipper base or like pinned in. um, but before I go ahead and finish the side, I'm going to make some ruffles for an underskirt. I went ahead and just attached it to some slinky lining fabric that I have, and that would serve as a little underskirt. Peep my star pajamas. But I think it turned out super cute. I have some of the trim I have planned to attach pinned on here, so I'm getting like an idea of the final look. So now I'm gonna go ahead and make some waist ties, and usually these come in two separate pieces that button onto the sides of the skirt and you tie them in the back. But for this one, I really like the look of having a sash across the front, so I'm gonna go ahead and just make a really long one with two buttonholes at the right places to attach it. And I think this turned out super cute. I'm really happy with it. It was quick and easy. And then I just need to attach some buttons. So I was struggling to choose a button because I have quite the little collection. I think that these glass ones might be my favorite. But I'll go ahead and show you some of the other ones I had, some of the other options. This is some of my little collection of buttons that I've been amassing. I really liked these rose ones, but they're made out of plastic, and I wanted this dress to be washable, and I didn't know how well these would withhold the washing machine. The other Lolita dresses actually use very similar buttons to those, so I thought maybe it was okay, but I ended up going with a safer option. I really also like these heart ceramic buttons, but they I think would be more suited to like a little bit of a sweeter style. So I ended up going back to the glass ones after all. And thanks to my sewing machine, making a buttonhole is super easy. I barely have to do anything at all, and it just does it all for me super quick. But here it is, my second homemade JSK. I'm super happy with it, even though it has a little bit of wrinkling. I think from when I attached the trim, I don't mind. I think it looks super cute. To me, it looks like a little teacup. I'm not entirely satisfied with the way this petticoat looks under it. This petticoat is suited more for a sweet bell-shaped style, and this is definitely an A-line skirt, so I think making a new petticoat might be in my future. But overall, I think it looks so sweet. I really like the pleats, and I feel like it turned out just like my inspiration. So I'm super happy with it. This is what the skirt looks like with no petticoat under it. I honestly think it looks cute just like this, but definitely an A-line silhouette is really gonna make it shine. Yeah, the back looks good. It fits really well. I'm super pleased with it. The inside is totally clean. There's no raw edges. I was able to kind of tack and tuck everything away. And yeah, I think a little Peter Pan collar is needed for this too, as well as maybe some red wrist cuffs. Yeah, so I'm going to be making some accessories to go along with this outfit. Maybe a new rectangle headband, or maybe even a bonnet, something like that. So stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching. I'm always happy to be sharing my projects. This one took a lot longer than I thought it would, but hopefully my next video will be up a little bit faster. Yeah, like and subscribe, please. The support means a lot to me. So I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.